Hello, y'all. Welcome to the Tuesday Night Live Show. I'm Bob, your host, and we want to thank you, our friends and Claus family, for supporting us as we get rolling here in season 4. Here at TNL Productions and the Tuesday Night Live Show, tonight's show will be the first of a new season with a featured guest. But before we introduce him or either of my sidekicks joining us tonight, the opening of tonight's show is brought to you by Sat Bob's. The legend lives on. This is Tuesday Night Live. Welcome you all back and thank you for joining us week in and week out. We do appreciate it very much. Last week's season 4 opener was a preview of what to expect, but tonight our guest is sure to come with lots of great content as a performer to help us all in our portrayal. The more we share, the better we all become. There is one thing for certain. My weekly sidekick here at TNL, a fan favorite, and he brings the fun. Folks, please be kind to him as they just let him out of therapy late this afternoon. Say hi to Spangle.
Hello, everybody. So good to see you. Hey, and I'm not even in my normal place. I am in Lewisburg, West Virginia, way up in the mountains somewhere.
You made pretty good time getting across there with your trailer.
Yeah, we're cruising along, having a good time.
Well, it seems your truck is doing good. That's the main thing. No issues. Yep, for sure. All right, folks. The important part of the team who makes this seem relevant is our show producer, Mrs. Angela Mack. Say hello to her. She's over here behind the keyboards, making sure everything runs smoothly.
Hey, everybody.
All right, but seriously, friends, if you want to be too cool for school, check out fancylees.com for all our exclusive TNL swag.
Hey, it looked like one of those clowns had his shirt on backwards.
He did, but you know what? That was a spur of the moment deal that the clown pulled on us, but it was a great idea. As always, he's using his bald head, and we're happy for that. All right, folks, you can watch us recorded or on your big screen. Go to your YouTube at the Tuesday Night Live Show 1225. Plus, you don't want to miss a single show. You just don't. So subscribe, like, comment, and share. It sure helps us out on this side. First half of the Tuesday Night Live Show trivia is brought to you by School of Santa's 2024 in Branson, Missouri, where fun and education meet.
Noah Lott reporting for TNL Chatterbox News. This year's School of Santas will be held July 18th through the 21st in beautiful, picturesque Branson, Missouri, right in the heart of the Ozark Mountains. If you've been before, then you know all about the 4 days of festivities that School of Santas is best known for. Each year the host facility, American by Wyndham, Branson and Conference Center is home to over 100 clauses for the weekend and is centrally located in the middle of everything Branson. If you have never attended SOS, well, bless your heart, you are missing out on one of the Claus community's premier educational opportunities. For more information on price and to ensure your place at the next School of Santas, contact Tanya Lay at Branson Ticket and Travel today at 800-432-4202. Again, that's 800-432-4202 and get registered today. I'm Noah Lott reporting. Now back over to you guys in the TNL studio.
Thank you, Noah. Appreciate that report. And hey, before we go any further, Spangle, let's go ahead and open up the cage door and let Scott in.
Oh, come on, I'm trying to hold it shut.
Hey,
too late.
how are you guys doing? It's good to see you again.
Again.
Good. I was gonna take the night off and let you handle it for me, Scott, but I was afraid you wouldn't mention my stuff.
Well, yeah, we all make mistakes, Spangle. You'll forget.
For those who don't know, that was a reference to yesterday. All right, Spangle, let's go ahead and shoot that first trivia question. School of Santa.
Right.
This is good for your name in the hat for the drawing for the scholarship. As we did last season, we're continuing that this season with those who had won after July of last year. Their name is already in the hat, so your name goes in with their names. And over to you, Spangle.
All right, very good. Hey, which Canadian sweet candy is made with boiling maple syrup and snow? Which Canadian candy is made with boiling maple syrup? And you know they got some good maple syrup up there. And
Say-
snow.
Well, that sounds good, doesn't it?
Well, I
Well,
remember when we was little, we used to make snow ice cream a lot.
yeah. When down here in Texas, we don't get a whole lot of snow, but when we do, that was definitely the first thing we wanted to do is find a clean spot and grab it, and could not wait. All right, I figured that one wouldn't take too long to get. That was an easy one. After yesterday's debacle, put out a really hard, multi-answered trivia question on the Monday show, and hey, it went south really quick, so we decided tonight we're just gonna make it easy. All right, guys, we'll work
Easy
on that.
peasy. All right. Well, anyways, hey, well, we recently had the honor at North Pole Cornerstones in San Antonio to hang out with and get to know tonight's featured guest, known as one of the best performing elves that Santa is truly blessed to have, helping him at the North Pole, really. Please put your hands together and in the air for the world famous and everyone's favorite grumpy old elf, Phineus the elf.
Whoa, hey there.
Hey, raise the roof.
Hey, wow, how's it going? There's three of you? Wow, there's three of you. Y'all look kind of familiar. You look like someone I know. I can't put my finger on it, though. So,
Well, very cool.
Yeah, and it's been a few weeks since we saw you. How was your travels back to Canada from Texas?
Travels were pretty good. Phineas had a fun run-in with one of the sniffer dogs at the airport at San Antonio, but it was just some candy canes. So
I was going to say it was nothing major, something that the dog just couldn't resist.
No,
I like putting an open piece of beef jerky in my pocket.
Yeah, for sure. You know what? That's just kind of something that you got to get used to if you travel a lot via air. They're always there in that TSA line. They always have them walking up and down the line, and
Yep.
you're always thinking, that dog is bound to find a lot of stuff each day that they pull off to the side. So kudos to the puppy dogs. They do a good job and keep us safe, hopefully, with the TSA backing them up. All right,
Well,
Phineas,
nine times out of 10 with my name, I get pulled to a side room anyways.
Yeah, that is a problem. I mentioned before what happened to me going to the ISA in Denver in 2018 with a freshly packed cheese peanut butter crackers that hadn't been opened and an egg clock timer that I had taken for a workshop I was doing. I had to keep up with time between my presenters. They pulled me off the side. I almost missed my plane. It was a mess. So don't put a timer in your carry-on, and don't put anything like candy or something unwrapped next to it because they'll pull you to the side. Okay. We're excited to have you tonight, Phineas, and it's our honor to have you here. Let's start off with this question. What does a day in the life of Phineas look like at the North Pole? What is your current roles?
Well, currently at the North Pole, my job is to make sure, particularly that Mr. and Mrs. Claus have all the firewood they need to keep them warm during the long winter nights at the North Pole. I mean, it's dark pretty much 24 hours a day, 7 days a week here. So and it's also really cold. So I've got to make sure that we've got lots of firewood, and also to make sure that there's lots of wood for the ovens for cookies. So the elves and Mrs. Claus can test new cookies and make sure that they're up to Santa's standards. And the rest of my job is spent working with the reindeer out in the barn. And I'm too tall to be a toy elf. I've got these big clunky hands, and so I work out in the barns and help make sure that the reindeer's stalls are clear and clean, make sure the reindeer are in good health, and make sure they're ready on December 24th to do their journey.
Now, you would think that as performing Santas as the three of us are, that the interest of the children would always be about how are all the reindeer doing. But 9 out of 10 times they always ask about Rudolph. How is Rudolph?
Rudolph is good. Rudolph has had some issues with allergies as of lately. But we've got the veterinarian, and the vet's been taking really good care of him. And the vet's doing such a good job that my nose glows just like Rudolph. Rudolph's too.
Yeah. Well,
Thankfully,
I
Rudolph
did hear
is
a story about Rudolph that he was having some other problems too there at Rudolph's at reindeer school.
Mhm.
He was going down in one of his subjects.
Yeah, he was doing really well in math and English and everything, but history, not good. Not good.
Yeah. They said he was going down in history.
Yep.
Yeah. So, anyways, it says, and you talked about this just a second ago about how tall you are there
Yep.
compared to the other elves. But in comparison, to give us an idea, like if there's the little elves that are working in the toy shop, and then there's you, and then Buddy, how tall are you compared to Buddy?
Well, Buddy's not an elf, right? Buddy is a human being who was raised by elves. I'm just an overly tall elf, and by contrast, I was raised by human beings because my parents as elves were a little nervous about having big clunky me around. So Mr. and Mrs. Claus, took me under their wing and took care of me, and so I'm about 2 inches shorter than Buddy, but I'm probably about 2 feet taller than the average elf. And those little snitches that go around in November and December, I'm a heck of a lot taller than them, but we don't talk about those little snitches.
We try not to, don't we? Yeah.
They're another subject of that comes up quite often in November and December. Scott, you got the next question there in front of you.
Well, when you join Santa and Mrs. Claus for a visit south, what do you do? And why do you come from the North Pole with Santa?
Generally, I'm coming to make sure that when we come down south, because we can't really take the big sleigh down, because you know what traffic can be like in some of the major cities, and if people see a sleigh coming across the sky, it could be pretty messy. So we do take a smaller sleigh, and we take some of the trainee reindeer with us just to make sure that they understand what it means to pull a sleigh. And so that's my job, is to make sure that the reindeer are handling well, that they understand what it means when they put the harnesses and the bridles on for pulling the sleigh. And I also make sure that the sleigh gives a good smooth ride for Santa, because we don't want Santa getting hurt during landing.
So what would be your favorite part about visiting down south with Santa?
Actually seeing our friends that we visit on Christmas Eve awake. Because when we come to visit on Christmas Eve, they're usually sound asleep, and well, we hope they're sound asleep, right? So being able to see them awake and ask them how they liked what they got from last year or the years before, what their favorite gifts were, and just see them how they've grown and changed over the past year. So it's always a good time to connect and actually get to know the people that we are making these toys for.
So tell me this, what does Phineas do in the off season?
In the off season, there's not too much that prevents me from my regular job, because the reindeer always need to take care of. But when they're in the pastures doing their reindeer games and getting lots of exercise, I'm just making sure that the barn is in good repair, making sure that the sleigh is in good repair for the big trip. Checking particularly during the spring for storm kill in the forests around the North Pole, just so I have lots of firewood to go. But at Easter time, it's usually really, really quiet at the North Pole. So Santa often lends me out to the Easter Bunny to help the Easter Bunny. But we don't talk about that because fur and reindeer poop really don't mix well. So.
Normally we don't go ahead and start taking questions, but I do have a question here that's probably relevant. Let's go ahead and grab it real quick. It comes from Russell Hurd, who, by the way, will be our guest next week, our featured guest. He wants to know, do you wear a traditional red and green elf outfit?
Red and green outfit? You mean like with the tights and those little turned up shoes or anything? Tell me this, Russell, when you walk through a forest, would you want to wear nylon stockings or tights? I mean, I wouldn't even want to know where you get ticks. So it's not practical. So I dress like a lumberjack because that's my job. And when I'm mucking out barns, those pointy curled up shoes, you have no idea where all the reindeer poop goes.
Well, to speak on Russell just a second, he is one of the kilt guys, so he might not mind the stockings.
Good point. I got a couple other comments here I want to cover real quick too before we move on, and they're from Sean White. Sean said it would be awesome to work with you, Phineas. Mrs. Claus Vintage or Vintage Mrs. Claus.
Mm-hmm.
And she also says that she hopes next time that we all get together that you bring your stringed instruments with you, your ukulele or your guitar. So just thought we'd go ahead and grab them.
That's always a definite because it's always fun to sit around campfires or just around couches and singing songs and stuff like that. So it's always good. So.
Well, shifting to Phineas as a Christmas performer, how do you, as an elf, prepare to work with other Christmas performers?
When I am working with other Christmas performers, I treat, if I know them well, I have conversations with them, just sort of understanding what they're looking for. My goal as Phineas is to make sure that believers keep on believing, and maybe those who are on the cusp of, I'm not quite sure, maybe bring them back to the fold of believing. So when I work with a new Santa or Mrs. Claus, the first thing I do, it's like a job interview. My goal is to support them and help people believe that they are who they are. So I will want to know, what's your first name? How old are you? How did you meet Mrs. Claus? How did you meet Santa? And it's almost like a job interview, because my goal is to be able to convey that I believe that they are Santa and Mrs. Claus, and that way I can help them project that to the people that they are performing for.
Very good. We have a question from Deanna Golden. She wants to know, Phineas, tell us your favorite cookie, and have you ever tasted a cookie that Mrs. Claus baked that you did not like?
My favorite cookie are coconut macaroons. I love me some coconut macaroons. As far as cookies that Mrs. Claus bakes, Mrs. Claus is a darn good cook. There was one cookie that we got, one of our believers got an easy bake oven, and she decided to bake for Santa cookies for next year, and they were asparagus cookies, and oof, even the reindeer wouldn't eat those.
Run into that one myself.
There was one.
Santa, Doug, and Jen said, do you use props in your performance? And if so, what props?
I do use props in my performance. Each year, Santa, David, and I, we do a story time experience with Santa. And so we have themed our story times over the past few years. 2 years ago, we did the Fairy Lights story that Steve Gillum teaches. And so we have the Fairy Lights boxes. And I think you saw me use my thumb tip earlier, and I do use a thumb tip because even when I'm not doing the Fairy Lights story, I've got my bottle of Fairy Lights. And so every so often, you just, and there we go. We've got some more fairy dust in the bottle. So other props I use, always have jingle bells handy because you never know when Santa forgets his own set of sleigh bells. And plug for Fangle, because we don't have the reindeer with us. I have the reindeer cards, so I can show people pictures of all the reindeer. So stuffforsanta.com, Smangle has these. So, and it's good to have. And yes, I do have olive cards as well. So.
And where did you get those?
Stuffforsanta.com.
And
Thank
they'll
you.
be available at the School of Santa in July in Branson, Missouri.
Well, he's trying to redeem himself.
So, Phineas, one of our friends and fellow brothers up there in the north, close to you, Ted Flynn, wants to know if he thinks that when you grow up that you're going to make a fine Santa. So that was
Well,
just a
thank you very
comment.
much, Ted. Thank you very much, Ted. Phineas is really busy. A lot of the guys actually saw the beard I grew during all the lockdowns. I was quite astonished that it came in a natural shade of white. Even though my age begins with the number 4, I was getting the seniors discount. So that's why the beard came off.
So let's ask you, in your phone, do you have a picture of you with the beard?
Yes, I do.
Let our producer pull that up full screen. We got to see this one.
Okay.
Pressure is on.
Pressure is on. Yes, just let me.
Like, what folder did I have that picture in?
Wow.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Like
And,
it.
and the thing that annoyed everybody was the curl of the mustache was done with water. No product whatsoever.
Got a bright future, my friend, for sure. All right, so we know that you often carry a guitar or a ukulele, as we mentioned before.
Yep.
How does music fit into your work with Santa?
Usually when we do our storytime experiences, Phineas goes to warm up the crowd so Santa can have a big grand entrance. That's typically what I do. And so I usually start with a bit of storytelling about who I am, what I do at the North Pole. And then, if they ask about the reindeer, it will morph into me singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. If they ask about other folks at the North Pole, I can talk about Frosty and basically how, given the weather we've had here in the southern Ontario, we can't bring Frosty with us because he'd be Frosty the Puddle, and instead of the broomstick and the hat, we'd have to have a mop and a bucket to carry him around, and that's just not good. So.
Good point. Very good point. Well, you're such a great performer. We witnessed that in San Antonio at the North Pole Cornerstones event earlier this month, and really enjoyed having you there. It was such a great honor to get to know you better, and we had a ton of fun down there. But you know what this industry needs? We need more elves. Not that we don't have enough at the North Pole, and we got plenty of them that set up on the Christmas tree and on the shelf and all that thing at Christmas time. But we really need more performing elves. So that's something that I hope that you inspire in others, because they can see the role that you've taken on, how well you do it, and hopefully it'll make more folks want to be, again, an elf instead of Santa or Mrs. Claus if they see fit in their youth, even, because there's a lot of young Santas out there that do a great job. But we can see where you can start off as an elf, work your way into Santa later on in life. Okay, Spangle, over to you.
What? Do you happen to have one of your string instruments handy?
I do. Yes. Yep.
You think you can play us a jingle?
I do believe I can play something. Dance, monkey boy, dance.
Oh, I thought you were talking to me. Sorry.
I'm beginning to look a lot like Santa every time I eat. For 3 consecutive holidays, I chop and munch and graze through tiki dinners, cakes and pies and sweets. I'm beginning to look a lot like Santa all around my waist. And you can see how bad I've been by the great big double chin underneath my face. The whole holidays are a massive displays of calories and fat grams, eggnog and pecan pie, and not to mention the spiral slice honey glazed ham. And there's enough cheesecake around to constipate Japan. I'm beginning to look a lot like Santa, and if I don't quit all the stuffing my face with food, I may end up in the nude, 'cause my clothes won't fit. It starts at Thanksgiving with turkey and trimmings, and then all the parties begin. We celebrate Christmas by stuffing our midriffs and eating like conjoined twins. And then it comes to New Year's Eve and one last binge. Should all our diets be forgot, we will sing the season's tune. I swear to you by New Year's Day, I will look like a balloon with feet. You saw me in New York City, didn't you? Thanksgiving Day? I'm beginning to look a lot like Santa, and if I don't stop eating everything in sight, it won't be a silent night, because I just might pop.
Fantastic, man. Oh, wow. That is so good.
It's awesome.
Now,
I thought I recognized that balloon.
that was a classic there. Now, I know that you've had some vocal training from another good friend of ours. Would you like to mention him?
Yes, he is a fellow Santa, Bruce Garrion, Dr. Bruce Kotovich. He is, again, local to me in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. And he is one of the most remarkable Santas that I have seen. So.
Absolutely. And the cool part about it is he also serenaded us on the show. So it's kind of an honor to have him serenading, and you come along and serenade from Santa to Phineas, and you guys are phenomenal. Fantastic. And that's somebody says Pat, Santa Pat down in Houston that was also in San Antonio with us, Pat Moss, says phenomenal.
Yeah.
It would be really cool to be in the same market or same neighborhood as Bruce.
Wouldn't it though?
Yeah.
I think the
Now,
same thing.
do you have the honor of working with Bruce any, or is
We have not worked yet as Santa and Phineas. We have been stewing with a potential plan, but I am not at liberty to go any further than that. So
fantastic? I know you mentioned that you worked with a series of Santas, and I was just
Hey,
curious.
Bruce, tell me what's going on. Bruce. Hello, Bruce. Oh.
Not
there's
working.
a lot of moving parts with this one. So.
Well,
All right, guys, before we go into our halftime break, Spangle or Scott, do you have anything you want to add at this point?
Well,
I just want to tell a couple jokes.
You mentioned that it'd be neat to live close to Bruce like Phineas does, but I think it'd be neat to live near Phineas, so I could use him in my portrayal too. The talent that you have is unsurpassed. I mean, it's as an elf. I mean, I have an elf here. I have Sugar Plum Mary, Mrs. Claus's right hand elf in the bakery, and I think you met her in San Antonio as well. But and she sings, but she's not quite been elfing as long as you have. And I mean, your experience is just. I would encourage anybody that wants to be an elf. I think we need to have an elf school, and I think you need to be the key instructor for it, Phineus.
Shucks. Thank you.
So, Phineas, what is Santa's tax status?
Couldn't tell you because I'm not American.
He's elf employed.
Ah.
Oh, hey, what do you call an elf who learns independently?
Elf educated.
He's elf taught. Yeah, okay. One more. What would upset a normal person but not an elf?
I don't know. I've got the reputation for being a grump, so I couldn't say.
Coming up short.
But
Okay, sorry.
Hey, Phineas, those are all jokes that you could use. You ought to jot them down.
Indeed. I'm glad this is recorded. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, as Franco mentioned in the opening, you are known as one of the best performing elves that Santa has truly blessed to have helping him, and we agree wholeheartedly. At this time, we are right here in the middle of the show, so we're going to take the breather, as we always have in years past, for our Spangle product announcements. So we'll be right back on the other side of this.
It's okay. I'm good.
It's okay. I'm good. Look, I want to show you guys something new we got. But anyways, here, let's check this out. This is really cool. It's about 5.5 inches by like 3.5 inches. It's really cool, but a little bit bigger than your hand, or a little smaller than your hand. It's got like 190 pages in here. Each page has where you can write the date on it. All kinds of lines. You don't have to use it for a date book. You can just use it for a notebook. It's got this nice elastic strap that'll hold it all shut in your pocket or your purse or wherever you got. This says Mrs. Claus. It comes with an ink pen that says Mrs. Claus. Worry not, Santa. We also have them for you. We also have the Santa ones. I just don't have them with me. I'm out on the road. It's got a nice little bookmark thing to put here. The answer to tonight's trivia is going to get a Santa or a Mrs. Claus one. And so, product announcement.
Fantastic. I like that. That's good through next Monday, right?
Yeah, well, these are going to be forever. I was just showing a new product.
Oh, okay.
The thing for today, this is what the trivia winner will get.
Okay, got you. We'll get to the other in just a moment then.
Since I'm out on the road and I got someone working a couple days shipping, but if you go to the website, put in TNL, capital letters, 15, you'll get 15% off anything on the website for 1 week.
For 1 week, fantastic. Yeah, I got ahead of myself there just a little bit, but that's all right. It's the start of a new season, and we're a little rusty still.
Spangle's always got something up his sleeve.
Got any of those? That's for sure. All right, let's go ahead and do this, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Oh, hello there. Yes, of course, it's me, Santa Claus. Now, you may not believe this, but one of the questions I get asked the most is, well, not how do I do it all in one night? No, but where do I get all my things from? Yes, now, what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the finest things I have. My glorious gloves, all my knickknacks and trinkets. and things. Yes, all the giveaways. Yes, for me to give to the children before the main events. Yes, if I see them in the streets, if they come and see me, I like to have something in my pockets I can treat them with. Yes, and there's one special place where I can find all these magical goods. And that is, of course, stuffforsanta.com. You should head there now and see what magical gifts you can find. Mrs. Claus, have you got my ice pad? Yes, log me on, I'm going to have a look. I shall see you there. Stuffforsanta.com. Merry Christmas.
Hey, all right, that was great. Hey, anyways, the book, the pen, and this deluxe carrying bag. Look at that. Oh my goodness, you don't get these everywhere. We'll be going to the winner of tonight's trivia. In 2023, how many made-for-TV Christmas movies were filmed in Ottawa, Canada area, all aired in the fall and holiday season on blank, blank, and blank? In 2023, how many made-for-TV Christmas movies were filmed in part in the Ottawa, Canada area, all aired in the fall and holiday season on blank, blank, and blank?
I don't
That's
believe I
four
can
answers
count
we need there. We need the number of movies and 3 networks that they were shown on.
Bob, I don't think I can count that high.
Probably most of us can.
I mean,
Take your
goodness
shoes
gracious.
off.
It's just on 2 hands, so, and toes, and well, whatever.
Ears and
All right, well,
nose.
fantastic. So again, put your fingers down on the keyboards. Do your
Now would
research.
the answer be wrong if you gave 3 different people's names and said their television sets?
Spangle. Enough Spangle.
They are all fell on the holiday season on Bob's, Scott's, and Spangle's television set.
Go. There you go. Now remember, you got to pay attention to the wording on this, guys. How many made-for-TV movies were filmed in part in the Ottawa, Canada area, and that debuted or was filmed in 2023? So, because there's a lot of films that are filmed up in that area throughout the 20s, teens. We're just looking for the 2023.
Hey, Bob.
Yes.
Bob. Next time I turn the script around and point it at the camera, tell me to put it down.
Fantastic. All right, let's let everybody work on that. And what we're going to do is go ahead and move on to the second half of tonight's program. Let's continue our conversation with our featured guest, Phineus the Elf, better known or less known as Mike Hutchins.
Okay, what do you enjoy about being Santa's helper, and what is your goal in the business or craft?
once again, my goal is to help Santas keep believers believing, and help Santas and Mrs. Clauses shift people on the brink of believing, or maybe if they aren't believers, get them to suspend their disbelief for that moment, because I always joke that I am not interested in providing a photo opportunity or a photo. I'm interested in providing a memory. And if I can help families have a memorable and happy Christmas or a memorable and happy holiday season, I've done my job. So,
Scott, go ahead and grab the next one.
How did you go about getting your clothes, boots, and style developed?
Long story short, way back in the dark ages, my partner, Larry Lance, was a Santa back in 2000, in the early to mid 2000s, and attended C.W. Howard with him, the whole 9 yards. I was always the behind the scenes elf. I worked as a clown. I'd worked with Cirque du Soleil and Disney prior to settling down. So I worked behind the scenes. And then when my partner died, I basically retired until 2016. When Santa David Milmine said, "I'm beginning to work a lot of bigger gigs, and I need a helper. Are you willing to be my helper? Are you willing to be my elf?" So I thought about it for about a month, and I said, "Fine, I'll be your elf, but I'm not wearing a tunic and tights. I'm doing it on my own terms." Because once again, I'd worked with Disney, I'd worked with Cirque du Soleil, and the entire point of my work with Cirque du Soleil was developing your own character. And so elves are typically like this tall or 4 feet tall. I'm 5'8". I weigh 250 pounds. How do I explain that? So that drove the character. The character drove the outfit because, as I said, tunics and tights don't work in the forest when you're cutting down trees, working with chainsaws and axes, and they don't work with a pitchfork in the barn shoveling poop and hay. So Phineas was a very practical character, and yes, he looks like a lumberjack, but he's the most magical, grumpy lumberjack you've ever met. So,
And I think he's got a great look.
Yes.
I even broke down and got a pair of elf shoes with the turned up toe and everything like that, but they're made out of the same leather that work boots are made out of. So they're not sparkly, spangly, and red or green. They look
Hey,
like
be careful how you use the word spangly, okay?
but
Hey,
they look like a pair of work boots. Yep.
Yeah. What special items did you discover that you needed in your toolkit and for your gigs?
Given that when we get down to taking photos and having lap or chair time with Santa, the number one thing that I found that I needed were wet wipes. Because a lot of the events, they give the little ones the candy canes and the ice cream and the cotton candy and the popcorn. And y'all know what that stuff is like in fur and velvet and beards and everything like that. So the number one thing I carry with me, I actually buy 2 Costco-sized cases of it at the beginning of every season. I buy wet wipes. It became even more important when we opened back up after all the pandemic closures, just to make sure that everybody had clean faces, clean hands, whole 9 yards. When I'm working with a new Santa or Mrs. Claus, I bring my notebook. Because once again, as I say, when I start working with them, I want to find out their backstory, so I can back up, what their favorite cookie is, what's Mrs. Claus's first name, how did they meet, who their favorite elf is, because it's not always Phineas. Do they have Bernard at the North Pole? What are their opinions of the little snitches that hang out and sneak around people's homes for the month before Christmas? Stuff like that. So I actually have, I jokingly call it my CIA dossier on the Santas I work with. And each year I also follow up with them because they may have gotten training from School for Santas or North Pole Cornerstones, and I need to know what training they've had. Are they using a new story? Did they pick up a new story from Steve Gillum? What are they using? So once again, I can know what they're going to do, so I can help move that along.
That is such a great point there, Mike. For sure. I'm at the mall, so we keep wet wipes also. You didn't mention this, but my biggest pet peeve is when parents coax their children with chocolate chip cookies or candy to sit with Santa because they don't want to initially, and they think by giving them something sweet or a good gesture, you might say, will encourage them to sit there with Santa. What they don't realize is that's even more of a distraction, number one. Number two, then, as you say, they get it all over them and want to put their hands everywhere. And it sometimes can be quite the mess trying to clean up, especially with a cloth chair like I have. So,
Yep.
Great point. So,
Well, but that works though, Bob, because when we were in San Antonio and we did that Tuesday Night Live broadcast there out there in the atrium area.
right.
Yeah, Carol bribed me with a cookie to go sit by you.
Hey, I was enticing you with cheesecake.
I thought it was cheesecake.
I was trying, it wasn't working. So, hey, the missus got him with a cookie. That's good.
How did you go about developing your routine as Phineas? And do you have different skits for different events?
As I said, we do a theme story time each year. Santa David and I work specifically. We do a Santa experience, which is anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour, depending on the size of the audience that we're with. And so we develop a storyline. And the best part is our storyline has been growing since 2017. So we get enough repeat customers that we can call back to past story times, which is just spectacular. And so last year we did baking cookies for Santa. We had a specific story that went with that. We had a number of magic effects that we purchased with respect to that, so we could lead up to that. So we developed a story time based on a theme for each year, and that way we can also work with photographers and also with some of the daycare and play groups that we work with. So this year, the play group that we work with most of the time, they did an entire Santa experience where they decorated cookies and they created gingerbread cookie ornaments for the trees, and then they had their visit with Santa and Phineas. And so we do it that way. We're really collaborative with our regular partners that we work with. But stock routines, I've got the Rudolph stuffy nose stock routines, and it's just all stuff that comes. I've done lots of improv. I've known Spangle since before he was Spangle through the clowning field, and I worked with COAI, Clowns of America International, and World Clown Association, and some of the shrine groups as well. And so I've developed all my stuff through my work as a clown, through them, and through Cirque du Soleil and stuff like that. So it's all sort of a giant mishmash of everything I've learned over 38 years. Yeah.
And forgive me if I missed this, okay? But where did the name Phineas come from?
Phineas came from the fact that I was developing a character that I call a Swiss Army character. So I was doing a lot of steampunk events and run fests and Victorian fairs and Enchanted Forest kind of thing. So I just sort of wanted a name that was sort of timeless and was still not Buddy the Elf or Bernard or Bob or something like that, because it's just sort of like I wanted something that was different enough that would set me out, and so Phineas can be at a steampunk festival or working at a fan expo just as a costume walk around character, just to entertain and annoy people. So,
What does the T stand for?
Yeah, a follow-up. Judy Broderick wants to know what the T stands for.
The
Yeah.
That's
sometimes it's Thaddeus, sometimes it's Terrence. You never know.
Whatever feels good at that moment.
Yep.
All right, so how
Scott,
this
what
goes?
does my middle initial stand for?
Yeah, exactly.
right.
Same thing. So how has schooling and mentorship helped you in your journey as a performer and an elf?
Schooling and mentorship have provided me with a variety of perspectives, and also outside. It's removed me from my usual group of performers that I work with, and pushes me outside of my comfort zone. So letting someone see what Phineas does from a different group or something has really helped me develop as a performer. It's had me rethink my motivations for some of the stuff that I do and why I do it. It's also given me new ideas to add towards Phineas's story and history and ongoing, Christmas journey. So getting external perspectives from people who I don't know all that well, but I respect, people who have not seen me and oh, that's different. I'm not quite comfortable with that. Well, explain to me why you're not comfortable with that, so I can better understand, and maybe we can work together to adjust it. So that's how I treat it. It's always like getting a sober second thought about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it.
Well, so when you went out and did your first event as Phineas T. Elf, and you came back, what business tool did you decide you needed right away?
I needed a calendar, just so, because I realized that I needed to be able to. I understood what the expenditure of energy was going to be as Phineas, because Phineas doing a 4 to 6 hour gig outside in Canadian winters versus Mike Hutchings, a musician, doing a 30-minute set at a nightclub is an entire different level of expenditure of energy, both physically and emotionally. And so I've got a calendar, which is also sort of a diary, where I can keep track of the families that we visited, any touching moments that we had, any particular things of note that we need to adjust when we're working on further. And it also allows us to revisit what we did the last year if we get a repeat customer. So we are not A, repeating ourselves, and B, we can build upon what we started the year prior. So
are you paper, or are you digital, or like me, both?
Both, because I work with someone who is analog. I do my calendar stuff digitally, but I print out a paper calendar for them, for David, when we've made significant changes to the calendar and schedule. So
I don't always trust this, so I have the paper.
Bingo, same here.
Okay, what is the most difficult part of performing as an elf?
Explaining to customers and clients what an elf can do for them. Explaining what a performance-oriented Santa can do for them. explaining that Santa is more than a living, breathing photo prop or a majestically bearded seat cushion. Trying to sell the experience and the idea of a memory versus being, yeah, we'll pose for pictures.
Yeah. Now, with the Santa you work with, is that Santa bringing the jobs to you, or are you bringing the jobs to him, or is it a mutual thing?
It is a mutual thing. It is a mutual thing. David and I work together as a partnership. We bring in, we've brought in a lot of gigs from our particular backgrounds. And then we also have, when people see what we can do, we often get asked for a business card because they see what we're doing. They see how we're engaging the public, how we're engaging with children and believers of all ages. And so that's a lot of what we do. When we were shut down here in Canada for 2020, I had to seriously rejig things and figure out how we could sell an online visit with Santa. And so that took a lot of thought process and everything like that. So we bring in the work together. And then whenever there's another Santa who needs a little something extra because they've got a bigger gig, or they need someone who can help with crowd control or do a stage show to bring Santa in, they will bring it to me. And that's resulted in a couple of really good partnerships.
Okay, a follow up to the last question that Spangle asked, what is the best part of performing as an elf?
I always say that the best part of being Phineas, because Phineas is not your typical, hi, my name is Peppermint and I'm here to make you Christmas. No, Phineas can be a bit crusty, a bit grumpy. And sometimes you need someone to be a little less than holly jolly, particularly during the holiday times when people are stressed out. And it's usually enough just to diffuse a situation that could be very, very ugly. But Phineas also has a level of efficiency in assessing a situation and dealing with it. If it involves maybe taking Santa out of what he's doing, I'm able to just sort of run a quick interference. For instance, I was at a convention with Roy Stone, who is a designer bearded Santa from Tennessee, also runs Gemstone Magic. And Roy was talking with a designer bearded Santa about how he applies the beard, how he fills it in with loose yak hair, the whole 9 yards. And there was someone who was really anxious to get a photo with Santa. And we were beginning the huffing and puffing and stamping of our feet and everything. And so Phineas went into efficient Phineas mode and said, Santa, excuse me. Just one moment, sir. This young lady would like a picture with Santa. It will only take a few minutes. And once we get the photo done, you can go back to talking to Santa about how you can apply your beard. And so I got the individual wanting the picture. I got her placed. I got her phone, handed it to someone. It was ready to take a picture. Had Santa posed, had Phineas posed. We all got our pictures. Snap, snap. Do it landscape as well. Snap, snap. Handed her the phone, marched her outside the door, and Santa was back there, and the elapsed time was maybe about 35 seconds. But we avoided a meltdown. We avoided a scene. And it's just being able to quickly assess the situation, determine the best cause, and being forceful enough and gutsy enough to interrupt a conversation that can be happening just to prevent a blow up elsewhere.
Well, to stop that meltdown, being Phineas, the lumberjack elf, couldn't you whip out a chainsaw like they do at Halloween?
Phineas has had to step in where people were being inappropriate with the Mrs. Claus. And that is just being able to done because I'm weird enough looking and I'm big enough that I can be imposing. And being a Christmas performer comes with a level of gravitas. And sometimes I've got I've got signals that I can give Santa with just a specific hand signal, which is touching my right shoulder. And if Santa's paying attention, he knows that there's an issue that needs to be dealt with. And once again, a lot of Santas don't realize that with the red suit and the beard comes a lot of authority. You don't have to be imposing. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to do anything. You just can come and be Santa, and that will automatically diffuse the situation. And at that point, make eye contact with Mrs. Claus or the elf and let them know that you're checking in on them. And if you do that, they will know that they are there for you. And at that point, you can either decide to pull them away from the situation or else just do something to diffuse the situation. And usually when there's a big imposing bearded guy that everybody's afraid of because they might get coal in their stocking, the individual will leave for the most part.
Deanna had a question, Phineas. How do you handle it when you outshine the Clauses because you're so amazing?
I don't outshine the Clauses. I am not there to get in the way. I am there to support them. So if I have a clause that is not a strong performer, I will dial myself back as necessary. I am there to support them. I am a supporting character. People are not there to see Phineas the elf. People are there to see Santa. And that's what I tell clowns that work with Santa is that, yes, at your birthday parties, you are used to being the center of attention. But when the man with the big red suit comes in, all bets are off and get out of Dodge.
You know, I hear you say they're not there to see Phineas, but I can see that in the near future, you know. The marquee reading Phineas the elf along with Santa.
I don't think so.
Scott, go ahead and grab that next one.
I think I've lost my place here, Bob. Oh, how can other Christmas performers working with a performance partner a better experience for all?
Talk to them before you start performing. If you haven't worked with someone before, if you haven't worked with Mrs. Claus, get together with them if you can before the gig, even if it's like for 5 seconds in the dressing room before, just to sort of say, you know, I even just want to know, what are you here for? What are you contracted? What hours are you contracted here for? Are you expecting a lunch hour? If so, when? So I can step up what I need to do during that time when you're off set or not in the chair, so I can tap dance, monkey dance, to keep people occupied while Santa is attending the reindeer or going for a bio break. Just stuff like that. It's talk to them. And also, if you're working closely with someone, be attentive to them as much as you can. Keep an eye on them, just to make sure that they're okay. A lot of Santas I've worked with have diabetes, or they may be sweating up a storm in their suit, and I want to make sure that they're hydrated and doing okay, and just their needs are cared for. So.
I really do like how you take that on as a very good supporting role.
Very wise words from a very good performing elf.
Yes, yeah, that's very classy of you. Hey, what do you got planned for this next season?
This next season, we're pretty busy already. We've got all our holiday weekends scheduled, and we've got our story time all plotted out at the moment. So we've got an idea. We're just getting all the stuff together to do that. So it's going to be a good one, I think. We've got a really good story about how Santa gets down the chimney, and what Santa does when there isn't a chimney present. So that's going to be good. We're constantly rejigging and planning. We're upgrading our skills, taking classes. I went to North Pole Cornerstones. I will be doing a couple of other courses during the year. Unfortunately, I can't make stuff for Santa because I'm working, or school for Santas because I'm working. But there's always next year. So we just constantly keep updating our skills. We've got a couple of Christmas and July gigs. We've got Phineas doing the working with the Easter Bunny in a few weeks, and he's not thrilled about that because he hates eating carrots. So
Santa Doug
Oh,
says
very
every
good.
Santa needs a Phineas.
Yeah.
Well, let's go to our viewers and see if they have any questions for you.
funny enough, Santa Doug, when I was working with Roy Stone, that's exactly what Roy Stone said was, "I need me a Phineas."
All right, so Elf Angela over here, our elf here in the studio, has starred a few of these comments and questions. Let me go pick those up real fast. Sean White says, I'm going to Disney this week. I will think of you at Epcot, Canada.
Yeah, that's where I worked when I was at Disney, was at Epcot, Canada.
And AJ says, Mike sent me Claus cards and that he appreciates it very much, Mike.
You're welcome,
And
AJ.
Santa Tom High up in Vancouver, Washington says, can a 6 foot, 350-pound become an elf?
Of course he can. If a 5 foot, 5'8", 250-pound person can become an elf, why not?
But you know, Tom came to School of Santa's last year or year before last. I don't remember if he's there both years or not. But anyway, he has really done well up there in the Washington area, and I guess he may be thinking about taking on dual roles. I don't know. Sean White says, good advice. Communication is important. Speaking of communication.
Yes, indeed.
Roger Latham says that Phineas, do you do any Christmas in July events? I think you just mentioned that, but kind of iterate on that, or tell us about that.
Yeah, we do. Santa David and Phineas do story times on Facebook Live. So we do one around Easter. As I said, we do one during July. And then in Ontario, we've got a couple of Christmas and July events. It's not really as big here as it is in the US. We actually did a really fun one at a trailer park last year that was just, it was like a beach party with Santa and Phineas, and it was wonderfully controlled chaos that and with a Christmas theme. So again, it's working with what we've got and just playing with it, and that's what we do. We do play. So
Jessica Rosa wants to know, do you do funny voices or do you mostly use your normal voice?
as a singer, I use mostly my normal voice. Sometimes funny voices can be problematic. I know a lot of clowns who have wrecked their voice boxes during their funny talks and stuff like that. But sometimes when Phineas gets really excited, he talks like this and really gets kind of excited. And so it depends, but it's all stuff that I know I can do safely and normally with my voice. The funny voice thing, it becomes annoying. I'll be honest with you. So if it bugs me, I'm not going to do it.
When you're in character for hours and hours, it's easier just to stay with your normal, and that way you don't have to, like you say, strain your voice. Judy Broderick wants to know, are you Phineas with the Easter Bunny or just the Big Bunny?
Phineas gets turned via magic into a helper bunny for the Easter Bunny. And let's see if I've got a handy dandy picture of that just to make things easy. And if Angela can, so there's Phineas as the Easter Bunny. So, and please note, it is not a fursuit. It is a prosthesis that I wear because Phineas talks too dang much, and you can't be grumpy when you're. Well, you can be grumpy, but there's certain hand gestures that aren't good for kids. So
this is true, very true. Jessica Rosa says you do great voices, so that was follow up to her question.
Thank you very much, Jessica.
Uh,
I have a question while you're in the middle of this, Bob. Do you have to use any latex or anything to keep your ears on?
I use
Come at all?
I use Pronose adhesive. I've known Leon McBride since the early 1990s, and I've used Pronose adhesive. The nose itself is actually held on with a septum clip. It actually pinches my nose on the septum, but the ears are held on with an adhesive, definitely. So,
Aren't those new noses great?
those new noses are excellent, and mine is made of silicone, so it is non-latex, and I can use it in hospitals and visiting nursing homes as well.
You get it from the Red Nose Factory?
Red Nose Factory, yep. Chad is amazing. He's actually got a new turned up elf one, which is absolutely wonderful, but it's not Phineas enough for me. And he's working on actually an Easter Bunny nose for me as well. So,
yeah, I just got a shipment in from him.
Yep.
Judy has a follow up, I guess, in reference to the bunny. What is his name?
Phineas.
Hey, that works. Fantastic.
Once again, it's the same thing. If you watch our last one, Phineas is just he's usually super grumpy around Easter time because there's still snow and it's muddy at the North Pole, and he's got those white furry feet, and the snow gets in between the paws and everything, and just makes everything muddy and everything. And he hates carrots, and so he gets to be the grumpier version of Phineas. And chocolate melts and gets in the fur, and looks like I pooped myself.
That could be problematic.
It can be.
For sure.
Oh my goodness.
All right. If everyone doesn't have any other questions, I don't see any others. There's no other starred from the producer. So let's go ahead and reveal tonight's trivia answers. Do we have winners on both?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go with the schoolofsantas.com. Which Canadian sweet candy is made with boiling maple syrup and snow? And the answer is Phineas?
It is maple taffy.
Yes, it is. And the winner is?
AJ.
AJ Bayless got that one. Boy, he come prepared tonight. He told us within seconds of coming on the air that he was ready for tonight's trivia question. So he came.
And
Is that the first time AJ's ever won on the show?
He is a winner. Now wait till you catch him on the second question. You ready for this one?
Well, it's the first time he's won this year.
Yes, first one this year. But that's fixing to change because in 2023, how many, and this was the key word, made for TV Christmas movies were filmed in part in the Ottawa, Canada area. They all aired in the fall and holiday season, and they were on 3 separate networks. Now, like I said, made for TV. A lot of folks put 30 in there. That was total movies made. That was not during the holiday season. It was during the whole 2023. Kind of a little trick there that we played. But the correct answer is 9. And those were shown on Hallmark, OWN, OWN, and Lifetime. And just to confirm, our winner is AJ again. I told you. So.
He did have a question.
Okay, what's his question?
I think it was on the first trivia.
Uh-huh.
There is no limit on how many times he can win that one, right?
No, on the first question, your name can go into the hat for the drawing, for the scholarship, for School of Santas, July 18th, 19th, 20th, and 21st, 2024 in beautiful Branson, Missouri, as many times as you can win. Your name can go in. So the more you win, the better chance you have of your name coming out of the hat when we do our drawing about 6 weeks prior to the July event. So your name goes in there, AJ, and you will get a gift from Spangle for stuff for Santa. And
I'm sure he wants the Mrs. Claus book.
Mrs. Claus, yeah, for Mama. He's going to be writing in there really quick. Watch. He'll give you a reply to that because he's already put a couple of clown comments in here. How dare you, clown?
He wants the Santa one, please.
He wants the Santa one, please. Okay. And he said, please, Spangle. So there you go. All right, guys.
I think we have technical difficulties on our end.
Only on your end? Yeah. All right. So, Phineas, man, what a fantastic way to start off our 2024 season 4 here on the Tuesday Night Live show. Could not have asked for a better guest. Fantastic. Brother, we had so much fun in San Antonio. Looking forward to getting with you again.
Awesome.
You mentioned you won't be coming to Branson because you have to work, and that's okay. We all have to have our commitments that we have to take care of. But, boy, we sure hope to see you back at North Polk Cornerstones next go round. And I got to tell you, man, you brought so much to the table in San Antonio. Even with the breakout sessions, you were such a inspiration for everyone in your group. I know when we had our breakout sessions and got out and broke down, and some of the things that you injected and brought to the table was fantastic. Such a quality person. Love you, brother. And
Thank you
we
for
want to thank
asking me
you
and inviting me.
so much.
Thank you. It's always good to share, and always good to get to chat with y'all and learn from you as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, anyways, guys, be sure to join us next week for our next TNL episode, 7 p.m. Central on Tuesday.
That's right.
And you also can't forget those two crazy guys on Monday, the Bob and Randall Show, Mondays at 3 p.m. Central Time.
All right. And I've got a question here coming in from Ray Bradshaw here in North Texas. Yes, Ray, we're going to push that back later on, late summer or early fall. It will be in North Texas. We're going to change locations, and we will be just north of you. If the location that I have chosen and have already been talking about works out, it's going to work out just great for you and Carolyn. So I'll get with you later on that. Let's see.
Is that for Sat Bob's?
For Sat Bob's, that's correct. For the Sat Bob's Texas edition that we do every year. Our 11th year, by the way, of doing it. Gordon Bailey did it 3 years and then turned it over to me, and I've had it ever since. So, all right, Spangle, you got any closing thoughts, brother?
Man, I'll tell you what, my mind is blown. I got scribbles all around my papers. I'm learning a lot. I know you guys said this old dog can never learn a new trick, and I've learned a couple.
Yeah, that's like Phineas said, it's good to share. That's what these shows are all about. Monday and Tuesday, we love to bring folks good content and be able to broaden our horizon, you might say. All right. Again, thank you so much for joining us, Mike. Thanks everyone out there for coming along. Great show. Also want to remind everyone that the TNL merchandise is available at fancylease.com. Go over and support them. That helps support our channel and show. Like we've mentioned time and time again, there are costs associated. We mentioned yesterday on yesterday's show that we will be going to the ISC 2024 in Memphis and covering. We have a booth there in the vendor's room right across from Spangle's. So we'll be close. Find Spangle, you'll find us, or vice versa. Also, a big thank you to schoolofsantas.com, stuffforsanta.com, holidayphotomagic.com. And by the way, I believe Jessica is feeling better and hopefully she'll be on our show next week. It will be the first Tuesday of the month, so it's time for her to come on. Thermapparel.com, fancylease.com, northfolkcornerstones.com, and Sat Bob's. All our shows are recorded and can be seen on YouTube. Don't forget, we got the Tuesday Night Live show over there, and we also have a channel over there, the Bob and Rand and Company live preview shows. So check us out. As yet another show comes to an end, we want to wish each one of you happy closing. Tell everyone good night, Spangle.
Good night, Spangle.
How about you, Scott? You got anything to say?
All I want to remind people is that TNL will be live at the School of Santas in Branson, Missouri, where entertainment and fun and education come together. So don't forget to stop by on the channel and watch us there in Branson and the ISC. Thanks for being here tonight. Phineas, I can't thank you enough. You're an amazing performer, and I have learned so much from you. So thank you again, and love being with you in San Antonio.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's been great to get together and share and chat, and look forward to seeing you all again.
Well, you
So
know
what
we were
time
gonna-
is it where you are?
Me?
Yes.
20 after 9.
And
Here
Bob,
too.
saying we may be at MAPS in the fall.
Excellent.
possibility,
Right now.
possibility,
As
possibility.
TNL to come up and try to do that. We're working on the specifics on that. So
Very cool. Very cool.
Yep. So did you have another song you wanted to share with us? Or you want to wait and come back and do it again?
I've also got an event I'd like to share. If anybody is in New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, or Michigan, and you have a passport, come join me and the Coffee with the Clauses, which is a weekly Friday gathering. But on Saturday, April 20th, 2024, we are going to be hosting our annual Regional Municipality of the North Pole gathering. It's a meal. It is absolutely just a time of fellowship and learning and getting together in a very low-key environment. So message me on Facebook if you're interested in joining. It's $20. It includes a meal and 2 lectures and a concert by my friend Mike Hutchings.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So, Phineas, we're going to have you back again. An hour and 15, 20 minutes was not enough time. So, looking forward to getting you back on this season somewhere down the line. And we want to wish you all luck in the world and appreciate everything that you do for the Claus community and Santa.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's always a joy to share, and it was a pleasure to be asked and an honor to be asked. So,
stay
All
healthy.
right. It's close. What's that?
Stay healthy and be blessed, my friend.
thank you.
What's Michael showing?
The
Yeah. And we're close to it. Remember to join us for our next Tuesday Night Live each week, 7 p.m. Same Claus time, same Claus channel. Count your blessings, not your sorrows. May your troubles be small and your blessings be large. Have a blessed week. Until next time, on behalf of the whole TNL production crew, I'm Santa Bob McMaster saying good night. Never stop learning. Hope to see you right back here next Tuesday night with Russell Hurd, Santa from North Texas. And come check us out on Monday. Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.
Ready?